All right, so I wanted to give a sneak peek of phase 2 of the OS6 library. So I've actually been working on this for a while. I still have a little bit of fine tuning, a little bit of testing, but it's pretty close. So I'm hoping to have this released later this week if all the testing and everything else that I have to finish gets done. But phase 2 is adding a ton of functionality and a ton of new capabilities to the library. And it's also putting in place some of the pieces I needed to get some of the other styles that haven't come over yet. So there's going to be a lot after phase 2 releases actually adding. So we're still not done. I did say even when I released the library originally that there was going to be multiple phases because I have a lot planned. And I'm kind of doing it pieces as I have time. But phase 2 actually sets the foundation for a lot of the new stuff that OS6 is capable of that hasn't actually been shared or released yet. So lots of great stuff coming. But first and foremost, one of the first big additions that I've done is using Fredrik's style editor code, which is in beta right now. I've actually merged that with the library to give you a live preview of your styles. So any styles, I'm going to use the water blade because it's a good example. When I go in to actually look at and choose my enhancements and customize this blade, I'm going to get the live real-time preview. Now, the reason I'm showing the water blade is one of the interactive styles, meaning that it reacts in real time to everything you do. So what I've done is I've made modifications to how the preview works. So this is using the code from the style editor, but I actually have changed how some of the controls work and I've added new capabilities. So the water blade reacts to blade angle, as well as a few other things. So the addition now is where you can actually change the blade angle just by sliding the slider or clicking. So when the blade is parallel, which you'll see here, the water is pretty still. If I start to tilt it, you'll see it'll start to flow, and this is tilting down. It's going to start flowing from the hilt to the tip. And the further down you tilt it, the faster that water will flow. And then if we point straight down, it's at its fastest. Now I can also move it back up, and it reacts in real time. So as you bring that back to level, just like your actual response effects, if you start pointing up, the water is going to change direction and it's going to start to flow from the tip to the hilt. And then again, the steeper the angle, the faster it'll move. Now, the interactive part of the water blade also reacts to swinging. So there's two different swing controls. One is fine, so you can actually pick a swing speed by just using the slider. Or if you want to actually mimic a swing, full swing, you can actually just hold down this swing button. So if I swing, the water reverses. And then it only reverses for a period of time, and then it will change direction again. Now, it actually, the responsive effect in the editor actually works very similar to how your blade is. The longer you do that swing, so the longer I hold this swing down, the longer that reverse takes place. So that was a short click, but if I hold it longer, it would take a longer time for itself to reverse. So that's to show you how those interactive capabilities work. I'm going to change up. Let's get back to parallel. And you can actually change your colors. So I'm going to go into red. Let's get pretty close to parallel. So another obvious capability is the new real clash and the clash strength. So by default, it's going to have medium clash strength. So when I do my clash effect, you'll see what that looks like. But if you have a harder clash with real clash, you actually get a different effect. And if you have a really light clash, the effect happens shorter. So this lets you actually preview the real clash capabilities in real time. And the reason I choose red shows the white better. Obviously, the effects will work on anything. And then let's go back to a blue blade for here. Another thing is the ability to see melt. So the melt effect is a responsive effect, but it responds to twist angle. So you can change that color by twisting, and this is the intensity melt, so it's going to turn to a flame effect. But if I change the twist angle, it'll actually adjust the colors. And let's see, we can also do battery level effects. So we can add, I didn't actually add one yet. Let me add a blade location battery effect. And the other thing I've done is I've made it so the buttons are all responding to the style that's active as well as the mode. So when your saber is ignited, you can use swing, you can use clash, you can use blast, lock up, drag, lightning, block, and melt. This particular style doesn't actually have a stab or a force effect right now, so that's why these are deactivated. Prions are obviously while the saber's off. Same with new font, same with boot, and same with battery level, so they're also deactivated. Now if I turn my saber off, you'll see this particular font doesn't have, this particular style doesn't have a prion, but it does have battery level. The battery level right now is set at full, so if I hit the battery level effect, that's what it'll look like. And it's a timed effect. Now if I bring that battery level down and I do the battery level, that's yellow, and it'll respond. So it has a timed effect, but it'll respond to your battery level. And then if I have a really low battery, that's what that effect looks like. And you can also change up how it's displayed. So instead, if I wanted to do it as a blade location, or we could do percentage blade. So we do percentage blade. So right now it's a low battery. So it'll be a very small effect. It'll move up. So percentage blade obviously shows how far up it will work. So now you can actually preview what those battery levels are going to look like when you choose those effects. And then if we wanted to add a prion effect, so I'll add a prion, and now you'll be able to actually preview that prion. Now the prion effects for OS6 all use the actual wave file. So this will allow you to change the timing. So I defaulted out at 4,000 milliseconds. If you have a longer prion, you could do that. If you do shorter, because it will actually affect how that prion looks. So if I set this at a shorter prion and I do that same effect, you'll see it'll actually run through itself much quicker. And that's part of the OS6 edition, is being able to use the length of that prion file. But so all these capabilities now are there, built into the editor and preview. Another thing I've done, and I'll show this on a different screen, is if you choose other blade styles, it's actually going to change the preview. So let's choose a secondary blade. You'll see it's actually now a smaller hilt. And if I choose a crystal chamber, it's even smaller, and we're actually changing the number of pixels. In this case, this is a 2-pixel crystal, and you can toggle it also in this screen. So the difference is if you use the button, so if you use a main, side, crystal, or accent to go in, it's going to change it automatically. But the choices will be based upon that option. You can change it here to change how the preview works. So if you wanted to see an in-hilt, side blade, 2-pixel crystal, an accent strip, 10-pixel strip or PCB, or just a single pixel. It's adjusting the number of pixels also represented, so the style will actually change, the speeds, etc. But the options don't change. So if you change this preview, you're still actually building a crystal style. You're just previewing it at, if you used it in different places, because all the styles are interchangeable. You can use a crystal style on your main blade. You can use a main blade style on your crystal or on your accent, etc. But these are the options, and the way they work together is different for each of the different blade variations, more so out of just common use. But there is no rule that says you can't use one type of style for a different blade, because ProffieOS handles all the blades identically. But if you have a 5-pixel accent strip, or roughly, or a PCB, this is what that particular effect looks like. And then the another new capability is the ability to, so I'm adding the Thundercats. Where'd you go? So this was a new interactive style. So there's actually a lot of different types of interactive styles coming. This is just one of them. The interactive styles required some changes to the library and also to the previewer. So we'll choose this here. So there's going to be a timer on this, and I'll get more into this as it releases. But so we'll choose our main blade. And so when we go to turn this, actually we don't want a prion for this effect, because this has an interactive ignition effect. But what we're going to do is when I turn this on, I get the Eye of Thundera, and then I have to swing 1 time, 2 times, 3 times to ignite the blade. Now with the on the previous screen, there's an interactive timer, meaning there's a window of time that you can interact with that ignition effect. So you hit your ignite button, you get that ignition time, or that interactive capability timer In this case, it's set for 22 seconds because that's how long that out.wave is on the font that I was testing. You can change that. You can also have it auto time. But that's the period of time where you would have to do the 3 steps. If you don't do your interactive steps within that interactive timer, these type of effects, they do actually play themselves out. So if you don't feel like swinging, if you forget to swing, it will still ignite the blade. It's just during that window of time that you've set on the previous screen that you're able to use that effect. And then so it's probably set for too long now. But so this is going to be a new capability related to the interactive capabilities. And then the last bit is this new build a sequence button. And this is a big piece. So the accents and even your crystal chamber and technically your blades, you know, the style library contains already a ton of styles, but there's so much more we can do. So I built this build a sequence for your accents. And what it's going to do is it's going to let you actually combine a bunch of different styles, colors, and timings along with transitions to come up with some really unique stuff. So let's get started with, like, I'm just going to throw something together. So we'll do an orange starting point. This right now, the saber is on solid color. And there's going to be a lot of editing options. You can have either fixed colors or editable colors. So we'll go through that in more detail when it releases. Let's choose, I like the center wipe. And now let's add a second step to the sequence. So right now it's not doing anything because it's a single step. If I put another step in, and it's gonna, let's do a wipe on that one too. So now you'll see it's actually gonna wipe over, and I can change that base color. Let's make it a bit more noticeable. So getting that wipe transition. Now you can also set, the runtime is for how long that individual color stays before it goes on to the next step. So I can extend this out, make it stay on the base color longer. I can speed up or slow down the transition. We can change the transition to do other things. So we could do a center wipe. Oops, I've got a bad. So this is still being debugged. There we go. So I do have some combos that aren't working yet. But so we've got that. Let's put a third step in. Let's go. And we can actually choose other effects. So let's do a battery bar graph as the third step. And what that's going to do is it's going to do a percentage of the blade based on the battery level. And let's change that color to actually do the battery color. So it'll be, when it's full, it'll be green. When it's medium, it'll be yellow, and when it's low, it'll be red. So if I lower that battery, you'll see that bar graph is only at the bottom there. Whereas if I do this at full, and because of that, let's change the alt color to red, just so you can see the difference there. So that's the battery is full, and we go back to blue, and then we go back to green, red. We can mix and match. And maybe instead of that, let's do a run. And let's do the run and do it in the emitter color, which is set here. So that's the effect. We might want to leave that one on longer. Instead of fading, let's do a wipe with that. And I'm just picking up a couple other things. We'll do a blink. I'll let the blink come in with just a fade. Let's make that blink last a little bit longer too. And let's do the fifth step while we have it. So we'll do a solid color. Let's pick a drag. I don't want to use drag. Let's go to the off color. Let's make that one really stand out. Let's make it cyan. So, and you can play with this. There's millions of combinations, and you're able to add technically it's 6 steps because you start at 0. So we can add another, let's say add a heartbeat at the very end. We'll do the heartbeat in, let's do the heartbeat in like a silver. Let's have the heartbeat center wipe. I like center wipe, so I'm going to put center wipe on a couple of these. Let's see what it looks like. So now this is going to be, and this is all going to export as a single style. So you're going to have an accent that will run all of this. And you can combine as much as you want. You can put together the different timings, the different transitions, and just go to town with it. And then there is also the same ability for while the accent or crystal or whatever it is off, you can build out another one. And you can also choose to have them looped or have it do a single version. But so this lets you build a sequence up to actually run and do all these different animations, different colors, different effects, different timings, and you set it all up and build it, and then just export that style code and put it in your config. And now you've got some really crazy, unique capabilities for your accents. So there's a lot more. I'm still actually building out the rest of this engine. It actually may end up being a couple phases of this engine itself because there's just so many things we can do with it. But that's another big piece of the puzzle. So I wanted to demonstrate this. There is a lot more coming. I'll probably end up with 3 or 4 phases by the time all is said and done. But I was really psyched to actually get this working. Of course, big thanks to Fredrik. He was a big help in helping me move the editor code into the library and actually get it to work and handle what we want to be able to do. But now you're going to have these capabilities all at your fingertips to not only test all your styles, see all the styles from the library, play with the styles, use the interactive capabilities, use the responsive capabilities, but also now build all of these crazy custom sequences to do whatever you want. This will be, hopefully, like I said, later this week will be released. It will be a beta. I do know there's still some things I'm fixing, and I'm sure some things will come up. But lots of great stuff coming, so hope you enjoy.